Liquid calories are pretty dangerous for a lot of people. Whether it's a milkshake, cold coffee, or if it is a fresh juice, we have no clue. So the calories keep adding up.
Every kind of like quick fix weight loss, I strongly believe there's a problem with it.
I know diets, where you can just help a client lose 10 kgs in 1 month. Right? Or you can go on
Correct.
liquids,
Easily.
you can just be on protein shakes, just eat a lot of protein and you're done, right? But what are the repercussions?
In this modern era, do you think is it easy to be healthy?
That's the biggest challenge. And it's across age groups. They're bloated, they have flatulence, they have GERD, and a whole bunch of other gastric issues.
That is why gastroenterology actually has boomed in the last 10 years.
Please focus on 10 to 19-year-olds because the incidence of insulin resistance is very high. And if you look at why this has gone up, they're not walking enough. They sleep late, gadget usage has taken over. And because of the pandemic, there was this entire phase where we were cooped up at home and then that kind of spilled over.
Anybody who looked into it would be like, what is this happening?
What is the damage that you're doing to your gut? It's very distressing to see that, they lose weight in a jiffy. They ended up having severe hair loss. It even triggered like a autoimmune. Hydration is such a huge problem. I've met clients who drink just one glass of water, which means 200 ml or max 250 ml. They become bald. They've gone for hair transplants.
Correct.
So who's making money there?
Hello guys, this is Dr. Pal Manikam. Welcome to another episode of our podcast series Gut Feeling with Dr. Pal. I am more than excited to bring my friend Shiny Surendran on this podcast. She is a celebrity dietitian. She doesn't want me to call her that because she really loves her job. She's passionate about bringing good quality evidence about nutrition to people. And this podcast was personal, emotional, was a lot of fun. I had lots of fun in this podcast. If you're somebody who's looking for answers for your diet questions, for example, if you're looking for solutions, whether you are lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant, whether you should use supplements like omega-3 fatty acids, whether eating bread is healthy or not, what kind of nuts that you should eat, whether you should take supplements like omega-3 fatty acids, and what does celebrity actually do during their transformation. We talked about Shiva Karthikeyan, Dhanush, all these celebrities angle, how they transform their actual life with fitness and diet. So I'm sure you will enjoy it. Let's dive deep into it. Before that, I want to make 3 announcements. Number 1, our podcast is being available in audio format and also in video format in Spotify, Amazon Music and Apple. Please look that link in the description. And number 2, because it's a 1 hour long podcast episode, many people have told me that this is too much for me to watch. So we have cut short, like highlighted portions, like 8 to 10 minutes, and published in a separate channel called YouTube Clips channel with Gut Feeling with Dr. Pal. Please check that link in the description as well. We also have a shorter version with 1 minute reel being published in Gut Feeling with Dr. Pal channel shorts and reels, and that link is in the description as well. I also wanted to introduce to you my holistic gut health program. We call it as New Me. This is a very natural way to restore your gut health. I have passionately put this together, and I'm sure that the results that we are seeing in this program is phenomenal because this is what I do in my California-based practice. We have found out a way to translate that into an online-based practice so where everybody else can get benefit out of it as well. So if you're dealing with obesity, PCOS, hypothyroidism, fatty liver, or any kind of metabolic diseases, if you want to restructure your gut health, please check the link in the description and also in the pinned comment. It's just called New Me Health. If you need more information, it is in the website. Hello, Shiny. Thank you so much for being in the show. I'm a huge fan of you. And again, thank you for your time being in the show.
Thank you, Dr. Pal. It's such a fantastic feeling to be here. And we're all big fans. My entire team was so thrilled to meet you the other day at the Chosen Conclave.
Yeah. Thank you. And you're a very popular nutritionist here, dietitian in Chennai. And not only that, I really like your ethical practices. Which really, I'm not saying just because of the camera. I think you have established a name, just pure hard work, talent, and doing ethical practice, which is very difficult in this modern era. So the discussion is going to be like just pick up some experiences from your patient population and then see what we can give to the audience so that they can learn from the conversation. So first, I'm going to start by saying that this world has been changed very fast in the last 5 to 10 years. So in this modern era, do you think is it easy to be healthy?
There are too many distractions. There's food available at the touch of a button. It's very challenging. I
Challenging,
think
la?
it is because you're busy watching some shows, and then one episode takes you to the next in few seconds, right? And you end up sitting in front of the television, and then you might get hungry when you're watching a movie for say 3.5 hours, and that's when you think, okay, why don't I order something? And I think that's the biggest challenge, and it's across age groups. I think that's the most difficult thing, and I'm sure you must be seeing a lot of clients or patients who come with a lot of gut issues. They hardly move, right? And then so they're bloated, they have flatulence, they have GERD, and a whole bunch of other gastric issues. And I think, I'm sure you have too many patients struggling with these challenges.
A lot. A lot. And I think that is why gastroenterology actually has boomed in the last like 10 years compared to before. In 2000, in the US, gastroenterology was the most sought after practice because the government in the US said that, okay, every patient who turns 50, we will pay you to get the screening colonoscopy done.
Okay.
So we do a camera, insert into the rectum, go all the way into the large intestine and make sure there are no precancerous colon polyps, and then we remove it. So 2000 and 2010 was a golden period in the US. After 2010, there was a lot of GI issues that you will not even seen in the past. So commonly, every second patient walking into my office will have some kind of a bloating issue.
Okay.
And I do see the struggle. And especially for an Indian community in the US, it's not easy at all. It is not easy at all. I'm talking about the help and the resources that is available in India. It's not available over there. So they have to take care of that. On the top of it, taking care of being healthy is a huge challenge. Huge challenge. In your practice, if you have like a busy working professional, when you are telling them to be consistent in their eating habits, what is the main problem that you are saying?
Oh my God. Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue. I'm glad that you asked, and it was spot on because consistency is the biggest challenge. Reason being, when a person seeks appointment and there'll be a sense of urgency to get the appointment, they would really push it to get a slot ASAP. And when they come, they'll say, I'm ready to lose that weight and that I've been struggling to let go, blah, blah, blah. And then later, when the entire process starts, and when we start chasing, it's a never ending chase because they wouldn't show up for follow up sessions. They wouldn't want to post any pictures. So we create a WhatsApp group and we request them to post pictures of what they're eating and drinking and all of that. And also monitor the neat calories and details about exercise and bedtime and all that. That will fizzle out in the next 2 weeks. And after that, there are people who pay up the money and they go missing. And then we'll be like, you paid for my services, please come and avail it. So that's the kind of conversation that happens. But then there are some who are very ready to take action. So I think we also have a readiness questionnaire. Sometimes that helps to gauge where this client is and how ready they are to take action. And sometimes we break it down so much just to make it much easier. And if they go on holidays, you know what it is, vacations, or it could be a cousin's wedding or something, and they might just eat and binge for that entire weekend, and they'll be like, we don't want to see your face. We don't want to come anywhere near your clinic. And we'll be like, it's okay, just come over. There's no judgment, right? Just come. We're not going to scold you. We're not going to be upset with you. We just want to see how to navigate through this and how to get on rather resume the program again. So that's the kind of conversation we have. And as you said, it is not easy. It is challenging. Consistency is the biggest problem. And that's why we have a psychologist on board. So according to different age groups. So if it is a child who's struggling with childhood obesity, we have a person who's 30 years old. So that psychologist is damn good with children. And there's somebody else, like say for instance, a politician or I'll say a businessman. We have someone who's 55 plus and she's seen a lot in life, and she also teaches in a college, and she can handle all these people really well. So depending on the age group of the client, we refer them to specific psychologists. They use cognitive behavior therapy, and the results are amazing.
So is this the same as a stress eating behavior?
Yes.
Right? When you're stressed out, the only thing that you're looking for is food.
Yes, that's a pattern they might have picked up from one of their family member as they were growing up. Yeah, I still remember meeting with someone from the film industry, and this girl said every time as a child she would cry, and her mother would get so annoyed because she would really cry loud, and then that will go on for quite some time. She used to just stuff food into her mouth. So when this person came to me for consultation, and she said every time there was a rejection when she didn't get the desired role, she would just order for biryani, pasta, noodles, fried rice, and now she will sit and eat.
Ah,
Yeah. So, and as we were talking, she went back to share about this, because I did ask about how she grew up, because few kids grow up in their grandparents' home, or they would live with, say, our uncle's place. They're probably from a village, but then they were growing up in a city in a relative's house. And a lot of things change there, and they pick up things from their environment, and that actually dictates their adult life, their food choices, their food behaviors.
Isn't it amazing? Huh? The medical literature behind this is like so consistent. So we were doing some research on mice,
Okay.
right? Where we actually, we have a way to create depression in mice. It might sound really
How do you do
bad.
that? That's
It's like
interesting.
removing their favorite things. It's like animal research. There's another angle to it, whether it is ethical. But animal studies, when you do compare depressed mice versus normal mice, based on their activity level, if you give food to these two groups, right, the depressed mice eats faster, much more, and more variety than the normal mice.
Oh my God. Okay. So relatable.
It's so. Then we figured out that the craving for this, we call it a stress eating, but it's not actually stress-induced eating. The stress itself is being caused because of the lack of hygienic habits in the past, which is the connection between the gut and the brain. And when you look at the actual neurotransmitter, right at the molecular level of the brain, whenever they eat this biryani, whenever they eat the dopamine is being secreted right to the intestinal level, gets transmitted to the brain, convinces the brain that, okay, this is what you want at the time of stress. And as you said, it could have picked up from the childhood. You are telling from a clinical standpoint. I'm just telling you from the pathophysiological standpoint in terms of how this is so consistent. The problem with this is that breaking the cycle will take time. It's not going to be a quick fix. And the reason that people are not consistent is that they want quick fix results.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Have you faced it? What are the strategies you have given to your clients? Is there something, that you really had this eureka moment and it seemed to work?
So I used to be really blunt with my patients right away, upfront. As soon as they walk into my office, when they have like an IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, they are expecting a medication from me. They want an endoscopy, okay, camera test to look into the stomach and the colon. I will not do it. The first question I ask is, what do you eat? When do you eat? And when do you sleep? And they don't want that from me. Okay, and being a doctor, their mind thing is that, okay, so I'm coming to you, I need some prescriptions, I need some investigations, I need to let me know that I'm good. I will say right off the bat that, okay, you are normal. Instead of wasting money on that, donate it to my charity. So I'll say that, there's no point in giving you medications if you are not on board with this concept that this is going to take a long time. It's not going to be a quick fix. If you are looking for a quick fix, you will not like my strategy. There are other quick fix solutions. Go and see some YouTube channels.
Okay. How about the psychosomatic connection with IBS? I've seen that a lot. My mother-in-law has IBS. I have few friends who have it. We have some of the clients who have it. And we have seen, like, for example, I remember in college, I studied in WCC. So during masters, you have to take classes, right? So the entire team sits the other side. Your professor is sitting there, and we are supposed to take class. And I used to have nervous diarrhea. The very thought of standing there and taking class, because my undergrad didn't have this kind of an approach. I studied in another college, a government college, and then when I went here, it was okay for the ones who had studied their undergrad also in WCC, because that was how it was taught in that college. So the sheer nervousness, and also for public speaking, that was also a big issue in the initial days.
Of course.
I would have a very upset, my stomach upsets would be really.
So if you look at it, before giving a presentation or before exams,
the nervousness.
The nervousness. No? So that's why they say, go with your gut. Right? Any kind of nervous situations, you feel a hollow feeling inside the abdomen first. And the reason for that is the neurotransmitter signal starts from the gut and not from the brain. So in your case, that neurotransmission presentation is increased colonic motility causing to have you, diarrhea or a bowel movement just before the event. Some people will be very hungry. Some people will have nausea. And some people will have palpitations where, they're really anxious. So all this is a behavioral mechanism, and you will not believe, like I told you, every second patient walking into me have some form of irritable bowel syndrome. So what we do is we have a GI psychologist.
Oh, specified.
GI
Super specialization.
super special. GI psychology is a program in the US,
Okay.
and all they do is just GI patients. And in my practice, I have a GI psychologist, I have a GI dietitian. So it is just focused on this IBS and all these food sensitivities alone.
Wow.
That is not being
interesting.
picked up in India yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come soon. So that is how strong the mind and the gut is connected. And when people are doing food craving, stress inducing, the problem is that they don't see the results right away. They get demotivated.
There you go. Instant gratification.
And then the cycle starts. So I think the answer to the question is I am very blunt upfront, and then I say that this is going to take some time, and it is depending upon how much amount of damage that you've done to the body in the past. So let's say that you have been abusing your body for the last 10 years. It is not reasonable to expect a return to normalcy in 10 months. It will take some time. And then, weighing, the biggest mistake that people do is they go on the weighing scale on a daily basis.
You're right.
All right? You say that in your practice.
Yes. You're right. And we can't explain every gram,
Fluctuation.
of weight of the fluctuation. Yes, and that's when the DEXA or also body composition analysis comes in hand.
So all this we talked about, this is being compounded by the information on social media.
There's too much.
Too much.
All of us are there. Yeah.
All of us are. Any experiences with you where people are showing this reel and then say that, okay, should I have to do this?
Yeah, there are a lot of these direct messages that come asking, can I go ahead and do what you have said? Or, recently there was a reel where I said, these are the 5 worst Indian breakfasts. Oh, there was a lot of backlash. Of course, it went viral, but I didn't expect this kind of a reaction. You won't believe. One of the dishes where I had mentioned was upma. Usually when upma is prepared, upma or poha, it's nothing but carbs.
Yeah.
Right?
So in your opinion, upma is not a healthy breakfast.
Yes, because it has suji, which is white in color, that's that rava that we call it, and it's polished. But if you were to add or rather replace that with broken wheat or maybe quinoa, right, or even millet, right? Even the vermicelli can be a millet vermicelli. And you also have traditional rice varieties like kavani arasi or else mapilla samba. There are the broken varieties that's available with which you can make a upma. And if the upma has 70% vegetables, that'll be fabulous. And if you're going to eat this with a coconut chutney which has roasted Bengal gram in it, or else peanuts added to it, at least somewhere you are enhancing the protein. But then the kind of comments that came was like, oh, upma has a lot of protein, it has fiber, the karupla has fiber, that is the curry leaves. And then the tadka that you're going to do is that with the dal, that is just 1 teaspoon of it. And I was like, okay, fine, I need to relearn nutrition all over again. So there are people who just get carried away by a lot of things that's coming in the social media, and they should also check the credentials of the person who's there, because you do have digital creators and you do have professionals like us, and there are also people in between who have gone through an experience of perhaps a weight loss, or maybe that they went through a biggest challenge and then for years together they did something and then they had a breakthrough, and they're out there to put out information with very good intentions, right? But then how does everyone have the discernment is the question. How do you filter out the information which is right for you? And when they ask questions, that's when we send I manage my page, so I send them a reply telling, I don't know your details. I don't know who you are, how tall or how short, and I don't have any of the data. This is a general information. But the people who come to the clinic sit through a 1-hour comprehensive assessment, and it is customized according to you. And also this... also how much is the budget for your food?
Correct.
What are your work hours like? How often do you travel? Because we do work with clients who travel for 26 days a month. Right? So without knowing all of that, we can't just give a blanket prescription.
Correct.
That's the issue.
Let me ask you a question. As a dietitian, how do you make a healthy upma?
So the recommendation is always like replace the white rava or the suji with any of these broken wheat or quinoa and all that. Add 70% of vegetables to it. If you want, you can even add a little bit of crumbled paneer or else tofu to it. In case you like the texture, yes. Or else you can add peanuts to it. So the idea is to get in as much as protein as possible, because 73% of the Indian population
Protein
doesn't
deficient.
get adequate protein. We all know that.
Yes.
ICMR had put out this information some time back. And fiber again is a very big issue. And because of which there's constipation, there are people suffering with a whole bunch of other gut related issues. So to poop every single day first thing in the morning without coffee as a stimulant or tea as a stimulant, I think it's a huge achievement. And very few people, it's a blessing. So if you're able to go and cleanse your bowel without a stimulant, you're a blessed soul. You're in good condition. I'm sure you would agree with that, right? It's a sign of good health.
Yes, it's a sign of good health. But people think that you have to have bowel movement every day. That is not needed.
Okay.
So physiologically, everybody has born different in terms of colonic motility. So the brain-gut connection differs from person to person. It doesn't have to move every day.
Okay.
It could be once every 2 days. So many people bring their 6-year-old kid to me and then says that, he is having a bowel movement once every 2 days. But that bowel movement is normal. So it's not like, on that Bristol schools scale.
Yeah.
It's not hard, it's not diarrhea. It's a normal 3-4 scale of stool. So which means the frequency of that particular person, colonic motility, is normal for that particular person. So let's say a guy who's having a bowel movement once every 2 days is now having once every 4 days. The change in frequency is the problem. And the change in consistency of the stool is the problem. It's not about having daily bowel movement.
Is this for the American population that you're seeing back home or the Indian population here?
In general.
In general.
In general, for everybody.
Okay.
But again, the problem is people don't understand the consistency of the stool pattern as well. So they think that in general, they think that even if they don't have a bowel movement every day, it's a problem. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But majority, it turns out to be a problem because of change in consistency of the stool as well.
Okay.
So that is the slight difference. So I'm coming back to the upma.
Romba pidikkuma.
Many people hate upma, right?
Me.
Okay.
I hate upma, but thankfully, I remember in a flight they have these dabbas wherein you add hot water. And
Correct.
yeah, there's one particular brand which I really liked.
Magic upma.
Yes. In fact, I met that
Indigo.
madam. Yeah. So it's called Easy Eats.
Easy Eats.
Trigune Foods. I used to hate upma, but I happened to like it. And then we all got awards by the South Indian Chamber of Commerce. And then on stage, I went and I told that, ma'am, I hate upma, but your upma is like kick-ass. She said, I wish I could record and then use it as a promotional video.
So I'm still confused about the 70% thing.
The vegetables.
Vegetables.
Reason being, see, the general recommendation of vegetables is around 2 to 3 cups. That will come up to anywhere between 300 to 400 grams of vegetables. Now, if it is salad, it's loosely packed, okay? But if it is a cooked vegetable, like a kootu or else a poriyal, then it is like tightly packed. And there's a lot of vegetable that gets in, so you're getting a good dose of fiber, okay? Which will help stabilize your blood sugar, your cholesterol levels, and of course, helps in weight management, improves the satiety and all that. And people eat vegetables like a pickle. It's only that much in the plate, right? Your reverse method works. That's exactly what we share with our clients also. And another thing is fruits. So you'd rather order for a croissant or else like say a tiramisu or else some dessert or maybe even a bhaji, bonda, vada or perhaps even puff rather than eat fruits, right? Some really take the effort to go ahead and have fruits and all that. But again, over there, they might end up having juice, right? So then the fiber is lost.
Fiber is lost.
So the adding vegetables.
Let me ask you this. Is fruit juicing that bad?
It depends on for whom. Reason being, the ones who have, say, acanthosis. There's a lot of skin tags or pigmentation on their forehead and around the neck and all of that, or even having a high waist-hip ratio and all. Yeah, so there could be insulin resistance. Women with a lot of hirsutism, say PCOS and all of that. Then non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, right? Now it's called as MAFLD.
Yes.
Yeah, so all of those, if you notice, they shouldn't be drinking juice at all because it's high glycemic index.
Fructose as well. all.
No. So, Anala, we definitely ask them to cut down on very sweet fruits like grapes, or else even like, large bowls of watermelon, or having jackfruit or mango and all of that. It's only for that particular condition. But otherwise, if it is a child who's into sports, who plays 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, and then has so much of sweat loss, definitely it's a great source of antioxidants as well as electrolytes. So it's very subjective to who it is. Who's the person who's asking this question? What is their requirement, their calorie expenditure, and are they a child or an adult or also geriatric, and whether there are any comorbid conditions. Yeah.
In India, when I visit here, I always see that whenever we order a fruit juice, they're asking me with sugar or without sugar.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
Yes. I think it's probably because individuals with diabetes are asking without sugar, or perhaps there are some health conscious people who want only pure juice. What do you think?
No, I'm asking why do they put sugar in the fruit?
Oh, like that? You're right. So there is always this logic, I would always tell people like, if I were to give you say 6 oranges, would you eat all the 6 at one go? No, we might eat 1 or perhaps 2. That's it. But then if I were to give you a glass of juice, you will gulp it down.
Correct.
Right? In the next 5-10 minutes, it will be over. Now, for that glass to fill up, say a 250-300 ml glass of fresh juice, concentrated one, not diluted, I would need 5 to 6 Kamala oranges, extract the juice, and then fill the glass. Correct. Now, that's a lot of calories. And that amount of food that, that liquid that's going in. And we are not chewing. If you were to chew an apple or else orange, the jaw is moving, and this sends a signal to your brain, and then the feeling of satiety kicks in. But that doesn't happen with juice. Your brain thinks you're just drinking some water. Some liquid, right? That's it. And whether it's a milkshake or else like a cold coffee, or if it is a fresh juice, we have no clue. So the calories keep adding up. So these liquid calories are pretty dangerous for a lot of people. But again, there are lean people, there are super, physically active people. We work with a lot of sports, sports persons. So for them, we do recommend 2-3 glasses of juices.
See, you brought a wonderful point that, everything is individualized.
Yes.
You cannot put an umbrella term that, okay, juicing is bad.
Correct.
So you said, fatty liver? Yes, of course, because most of this is fructose.
Yes.
Fructose is metabolized in the liver.
Correct.
And then if your liver is compromised already, then it doesn't make any sense. But my angle to this is when you, for example, the ABC juice.
Okay, right? The most popular one.
Apple, beetroot. If you actually look at the fiber content on the juice, it's only 0.1 gram.
You're right.
If you actually have all three, nobody eats beetroot raw, but I'm just saying if you include that, it's 3.5 grams of that same amount. The problem is we need 25 grams of fiber per day.
Correct.
Okay. So juicing will not give you the fiber.
You're right.
So that was a major...
That was your concern as a gastroenterologist, correct?
That is my major concern with the juices.
You're right.
If, as you said, sports people, if your metabolic rate is very high, if you're physically active, I think it's reasonable to include juicing on and off. That's what I usually say. Whenever there is any patient coming into my office, they already have some kind of insulin resistance or some kind of GI issues. In that, you will not believe how much I will shout fiber.
Okay.
And then to a point that people will say he is cyber.
Okay. Is this the Indian Americans? Or the NRIs?
NRIs.
Yeah?
NRIs. But you will be surprised, white people, their consumption of fiber is lower based on the report of US food report.
Okay.
But Indian people living in the US, fiber consumption is even much lower than them.
Oh my God, that's scary.
That is very scary because salad has been a part and parcel of their childhood. Right from when they grow up, salad has been one of the things. So even though they had other junk foods and everything, salad somehow they include it and they don't feel like it is a punishment to them. When we say salad to our community, they feel really that it is a big punishment. And as you said, the amount of vegetable consumption and fruit consumption is significantly lower in Indian community, at least in my patient population. The point is, if I ask them to add more vegetables, the first thing that they say is, you come to my house and you cook, you tell me.
You should start another business, okay? A vertical which says Dr. Pal approved chefs or home chefs or cooks.
Because lack of time.
Yeah. You're right.
Ah.
You're right.
I'll tell you, me and Priya. So we have two little kids. I go to work at 7:30. I come around 6:37, and I all have this YouTube and all those things, content creation sometimes. And Priya also works. Kids go to school, comes back at 3:30. We need to drop them at all these classes. We come. The last thing that we worry about is fiber.
But I'm sure a lot of planning happens over the weekend. Meal
Lot of-
prepping would be there.
Lot of planning. Significant amount of planning.
I've
And
seen Priya sharing a lot of recipes and what she eats, which is
correct,
amazing.
correct. And that didn't happen overnight. We also we were obese before, and then we learned this. And yeah, purpose of the social media was to convey the message that what we learned, and you don't do the same mistake. The pre-planning, to be honest, we plan 4-5 hours over the weekend. In terms of, okay, so because we know once the week starts, there is no way that we're going to prioritize all this before. So meal prep has been a big part and parcel of our life recently. And coming to you, you seem very passionate about what you're doing. Any particular reason for it, or you just thought that, okay, so this is coming to you?
I was very bad as a kid. All that I would eat is tair sadam and a lot of potato fry. That's it. I used to hate vegetables, perennially constipated. Yeah. So my mother would call.
What age was this?
This was what? Third, fourth, fifth standard.
I see.
Sixth. And my brother, I have an elder brother, and he would eat tons of vegetables. So she would keep pointing to his plate and say, look at your brother, learn from him. Why are you like this? Blah, blah, blah. And then I would fall sick often. That's another thing. From 6th standard onwards, I'm a bookworm. So school, I used to spend a lot of time in the library. And with the dust allergy and all that, I became asthmatic. I had allergic bronchitis and I was sick. And another factor is 7th, 8th and 9th, I had typhoid, jaundice, malaria. So my mom said, you're getting all of this. And I would lose school, school. I think close to 15, 20 days I would miss out in school because I would fall sick. Then during one of those episodes is when Amma mentioned that, you're not eating properly. Your immunity is really low. You catch every infection which is coming during the season. And that's when I realized, okay, I don't want to get poked the injections. And there was a lot of fear. And then drawing blood. And then that's when something shifted.
I see.
And then I started eating vegetables and I noticed how much it improved my health. And
wow.
Yeah, so from then on, everything shifted.
You started.
Yeah, I started eating.
Getting into this. Wow. Beautiful. So we talked about all this. We'll come to a client angle. Okay, a person comes to you. When they ask you for weight loss, will you focus on weight loss or will you focus on fat loss?
Fat loss.
Fat loss.
Yeah, because earlier when I started my career, it's been 25 years now. Long back, I didn't have all the facility or I didn't have the resources, didn't have the money to have one hi-fi client, meaning a clinic and all of that. But slowly, whichever gym I worked in, I would always push them to get some kind of body composition analysis machine. So I used to work in fitness studios for a good 10, 12 years. After that, I worked in a medical college as a lecturer in the part of the sports medicine department. So we had access to DEXA. We had body composition analysis machine, and we also use skin fold calipers and do the anthropometric measures for the sports person. So that way, whenever I got those resources, we went ahead and used it because then we could show numbers. So when you're working with guys like, say, auditors or else be it any client who understands only numbers, we had to show reports or else show these kind of values, then they would get it. Otherwise, just sitting and talking, you speak to them for half an hour and at the end of the conversation, again, they ask the same question when they walked in. So it's like starting all over again. So that's when I realized, no, you need to show them numbers and then they would get it.
I see.
So a BCA report made a lot of sense. A DEXA scan also.
Tell our audience what is BCA is.
Body composition analysis. You must have seen a lot of these fitness centers having this machine where you key in your name and height, weight and age and all of that, and then you hold the handle and then it actually sends a very weak current. And if you have more muscle, the muscle has water, so that becomes a source of conducting electricity. And the resistance is offered by the fat which is in the body. So then it clearly shows how much of subcutaneous fat, that is the fat under the skin, and also the fat around your abdominal area, that is your visceral fat. And so then you clearly understand how much of bone weight you have, how much of muscle mass you have. So the focus will always be preserve the muscle or if possible increase the muscle. Then automatically you will notice that your fat percentage goes down.
Beautiful.
So weight loss is all about fat loss.
Fat loss.
Yeah.
In India, where do we get the BCA?
You do have a DEXA, but that costs around 3,000 to
3,000 rupees.
3,500,
Huh.
and not everyone can afford.
Afford.
That is one. Next thing is fitness centers will have this BIA machine or BCA, but we should understand there could be error of 3 to 5%. The reason being, you're supposed to measure first thing in the morning if possible, or else at least after digesting a big meal. So between meals is a good window to check. Another factor is if you've been eating, say for instance, if you check in the evening, there could be a lot of variation. And if they have had a party and if there was a lot of alcohol intake, they would have got dehydrated. So that's not a good time to check. So if you measure your weight, say for instance 7 a.m. in the morning before you eat breakfast, that's a good one, right? Or also before the exercise, because again you end up sweating. That is one. And women around the periods, 1 week before, 1 week after, we request them not to check.
Not check.
That is one. And then the machine also comes with its own set of instructions. Anyone with a pacemaker or else an implantation, they cannot get on the scale. And simplest is actually to take a measuring tape. If not anything, the tailor has a tape, right? Just go to a stationery shop, get a tape and just measure the waist-up ratio. Or else just the waist ratio itself, waist measurement.
So take an inch tape, measure around your belly button.
Belly button.
And then measure around the widest part of the hip.
Correct.
And then you calculate the ratio, waist to hip ratio, WHR.
WHR.
Especially for women, it's a very critical number.
Yes.
It's a very critical number.
So what we do in the clinic is we measure the chest, okay, right under the armpit. That is one. Next is the waist. That is the end of the rib. Okay, right there, the narrowest part of the waist. That is the waist. And then right at the navel will be the abdomen. And then we ask them to keep their feet together and measure around the butt.
Widest part.
The widest part.
Part of the butt.
So then we get the hip value. Then we measure the thigh. Okay, the upper thigh as well as the mid thigh measurement, and also the arm. Yeah. So when we do all of this itself, either they will see some changes, with every follow-up session, they notice the...
But will this measurement translate into body fat percentage? How do
Not necessarily. No. This doesn't show. It's only an indicator. But we have machine.
BCA.
We have the BCA machine. That helps. See, in a small clinic like ours, where we are 10 dietitians, and then every month we would see 150 to 200 patients or clients, but then it's a individualized and only on appointments we take it. Walk-ins are not encouraged. So then we spend like 1 hour, sometimes even 1.5 hours, depending on the medical history. We look into all of that. So at that time, I think this is what we can do. But DEXA, it's a huge investment. So there are requirements when we do need DEXA. At that time, we refer them out to the diagnostic labs.
So let me tell you the US picture.
Yes. Okay. I'm very keen to know what's happening there.
US picture. Okay, so here in India, when you get the BCA in the gym, you have to sign up for the gym? Or you just walk in on...
You can. Because
they'll give for complimentary.
Sometimes they charge 300 rupees.
300 rupees.
But then that's still fine. We usually open it up for anyone to come and check. We do camps. In the sense, because we at least raise the awareness to say, you might be thin, but you don't have enough muscle mass. And this could be a problem for your metabolic health. So we educate them, and then we put out information in social media. And they come and check and go. That way they have a report to have a look at it, and then let them think, mull over it. And then they will take action. They'll go meet some dietitian, some trainer, somewhere they get healthy, we are happy.
Most important thing here is that the lean...
musculature. What happens in the US?
So the skinny fat is one of the most important problems in the US. Okay, so I was pretty big before. I was 100 kilos, and then I lost. Okay,
What was your turning point?
My turning point was I had a health scare when I was seeing a patient. So at that time, I was like, I just finished, I thought I was very successful in my career. Coming from a middle class family, I did my MBBS in a prestigious institute. Then I went for Masters in Public Health. And then I did my MD General Medicine for 3 years. Then I did AB Gastroenterology. Then I got specialized procedures, like endoscopic ultrasound, going into the pancreas, taking biopsy of the pancreas, putting stent in the liver where the pancreatic cancer is obstructing the biliary drainage. You name it, there's nothing else that I can do.
You've done all the super specialty.
I've done all the super specialty. That's it, right? So I felt like, okay, good.
Wow.
There is a meaning to my life. And that life was about it.
Oh my God.
Right after. So then I was like, okay, so what am I doing and everything? And I'm talking a lot on social media right now, but I didn't learn any of this during my medical curriculum.
Nutrition. Was
Not
it a
that
cutie
much.
chapter there?
Very small chapter, and it was not focused. Maybe now it has changed, I don't know. But when I was a medical student, it was not there. Even if it was there, it was not that important because it doesn't come in the exam question paper.
I think all of us studied like that. Yeah. Yeah. This will come for an essay, for a 5 mark, for a
5
1
mark,
mark.
10 mark, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And multiple choice.
Multiple choice.
Yeah, let's go.
We have
high.
never had a long-term 10-mark essay question on nutrition. We always had how to treat heart attack.
Okay.
Nobody focused on how to prevent heart attack.
You should be on the board of studies
I
for
will be.
every medical
I will be.
university.
I will be.
Right? Yeah.
I'll be. So then I started learning all this. No? So then I lost time restricted feeding was one of my go-to thing, which really helped me. The mistake I did was, I'm very open about it, that while I was doing it, I lost weight, but I also lost my muscle. I got really lean. I didn't do that much amount of exercise that is needed for the muscle preservation. So I was lean, but that is how I came to know about the skinny fat. Where I was lean, nobody would have ever told me that you are fat because I was very lean. You stepped on the machine, my body fat percentage was 35. And that is where my light bulb moment was like, okay, so this is not what I wanted. So I worked on body fat redistribution after that. But coming back to the situation of checking body fat percentage in the US is that every gym has it. And then you walk in, you say, I'm going to sign up for the gym. You step on the BCA, get the results, and you say bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah,
And every nutrition store has it. You know, in the US, it's like it's a supplement store. It's like, every other store is a supplement store. And you walk in, they give you a free BCA analysis. Okay, now being from a medical professional, I do know that it is not as accurate as a DEXA scan. But you don't need a DEXA scan.
Exactly.
Because
this works.
This works.
This helps. You also have the small monitors.
Small
handheld.
monitors. That's a baseline. Whatever you do, you compare the same with the same BCA thing.
Absolutely. That's the easiest way to
It's the easiest
be
way.
consistent in monitoring.
I strongly feel that all men should definitely, Indian men should definitely have one BCA analysis at least one time in their life. In my experience, women has a leeway of having increased body fat percentage because of their hormones and everything. In men, we say that, more than 20, 22, you fall into that overweight obese category. But for women, you have a leeway of like 25, 26. What is the average body fat percentage that you see in your practice in women?
I would say 35 to 55%.
55.
Yeah, easily. We do have clients who are like 130, 140. We even have one person who's like 170.
Let me ask you this. People are so obsessed about the weight. But when you explain about this body fat percentage, do they understand? They don't.
No, even the most educated don't. There are times that they've gone on programs which are highly restrictive and they are like, I lost that 30, 40 kgs and all that. And I would just simply sit there and I was like, okay, good for you. And then I see them after 6 months or 1 year and they have gained more than what they lost. Yeah, so that's sarcopenic obesity.
Yeah,
this is exactly what we're talking about. And then these are highly educated professionals, people. And I think it's also because they're hanging out with people who are extremely skinny. There's a whole lot of insecurity that kicks in. And they're like, I want to do this at any cost. Okay, so don't give me all of this. I want the numbers going down. I want the sizes going down. That's how they talk. And you're like, you can't just... Sometimes you just choose not to work with certain people.
Because the mindset is not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. They don't get it, because, see, we know what will happen. See, if you start losing, I know diets, where you can just help a client lose 10 kgs in 1 month, right? Or you can go on liquids, easily. You can just be on protein shakes, just eat a lot of protein and you're done, right? But what are the repercussions?
Correct.
Okay, the gut health really goes for a 6. Dysbiosis, leaky gut, name it, they will face all of that. They'll end up losing a lot of hair. And then you might dress up nicely, but then when you look at your body, there could be a lot of sagging. There could be a whole bunch, maybe you just need to slather so much of makeup in order to look good. Or there are people who lose a lot of hair. They go for fillers. They're going for a lot of treatments in order to compensate for the changes that's happened to them.
My God.
People have lost hair. They become bald. They've gone for hair transplants.
Correct.
So who's making money there? The dermatologists, the plastic surgeons, and then there's a lot of loose skin because they've lost so much of muscle.
And the dietitian already, because that's how it is. I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention the name, but there are lots of supplement companies, right?
Correct.
Where they do meal replacement shakes.
Yes.
Meal.
It's a huge hit.
It's a huge hit. There are multiple companies like that in the US. I can talk about the companies in the US because nobody cares. It's called Optavia. What they do is they just remove the meal and they give you shakes. They give you packet and powders and everything.
Yeah.
I will tell you the situation that I had. Okay, this is an Indian patient who went in the US, who was there for like 15 years, comes to me for abdominal bloating. That is a complaint. And what has happened is that he was pretty big before, and now he has lost close to 30 pounds, which is around like 15 kilos, in a span of a month. Okay, he came with abdominal bloating and abdominal pain. So I said, okay, something is not right. Let's do the blood work. Everything is severely deficient in micronutrients, vitamin D, vitamin B12. Everything was like so low. I mean, I have seen low vitamin D number. This was like the lowest I've ever seen. And the micronutrient as well was very low. I said, okay, so now we'll give supplements and then we'll take it from there. But the worst thing that has happened was I did the endoscopy for him for the pain. I have never seen such a bad stomach ever in my life.
Oh my God.
I have done close to 10,000 endoscopies in my life, in my experience.
Okay.
Such a bad mucositis where the complete lining of the stomach is ripped out.
Oh my God.
It's completely ripped out. I was like, this.
Was it because of him going on this kind of a...
It's because of the lack of micronutrients and the lack of adequate macros through the whole foods meals. So, I'm not sure whether this happens for everybody. It is just...
this gentleman who came to you... Oh my God.
This gentleman was... So every kind of like quick fix weight loss, I strongly believe that, there's a problem with it. Busy professionals opt for this quick fix because, when they are busy in between, you could just put a shake, put a water, and then they just drink it. They may lose weight in the short term, but there has to be some kind of compromise in the long term.
Correct. Yeah. It's very distressing to see that, they lose weight in a jiffy, but then there are so many other things that really, I know people whose rheumatoid arthritis got flared up. Okay. Or else they ended up having severe hair loss. It even triggered like a autoimmune condition, right? All that has happened. And these are things that we can foresee as professionals.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
We can see. But when we try to get this across, they don't.
So I'll tell you an example on the particular patient. We did a stool analysis, okay? And when you analyze the stool, you can tell whether the patient is a vegetarian, vegan, or non-vegetarian, okay? Based on the microbiome. There's multiple studies showing that. You can also say whether the patient has eaten whole foods. That patient's microbiome was so low that anybody who looked into it would be like, what is this happening? Is this a newborn baby who has not eaten any food?
My goodness. So a lot of refined foods, ultra-processed foods perhaps.
All these are ultra-processed, na? All these ultra-processed. The point is that ultra-processed food, you cannot run away from it. It's okay. Every meal is being an ultra-processed food. Takes the gut bacteria a toll that the gut bacteria have never seen before. Because what you are putting inside the mouth is what making the gut bacteria grow. If you don't feed
the prebiotics is what you're talking about. Yeah.
When the bacteria will go down, then again the same brain gut access and all those things will be very, very effective in clinical presentation.
I have a question to ask you because of late there's been a lot of people who have come up with bacterial overgrowth, SIBO or SIFO. How do you get started with the diagnosis? Because I'm sure you would have seen a lot of things because we get to hear a lot more. It all starts from the US, right? We hear all these terminologies and then we start looking into that direction.
Correct.
So in your practice?
I see a lot. Every other patient has SIBO.
Okay, but how do they diagnose it?
So it's called SIBO
How do you diagnose
for
it?
audiences, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, where bacteria is multiplying in the small intestine, which is not supposed to. Your small intestine should not have bacteria because your small intestine is the most motilitical organ over there. It keeps contracting at a multiple rapid pace so that the food goes into the next part, which is your large intestine, and then forms a stool and comes out. The problem here is that because the motility is compromised, the bacteria gets stagnant. So the food gets stagnant, the bacteria gets multiplies, and that's why SIBO is. This diagnosing small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, especially in IBS patients or patients with having abdominal bloating, is not an easy task.
Okay.
It is done with a breath test. We have different kinds of breath tests, hydrogen breath test, methane breath test, and all those things. And you need a professional interpretation of the results in terms of what kind of bacteria is bad in your small intestine.
Okay.
But invariably, you are right. Invariably, they will turn out to be positive, and we might have to work on the dietary lifestyle a lot more.
Okay.
It has
Thanks
been
for sharing that. Yeah. No, we've been seeing a lot of that. And also fungal overgrowth. And that's when we cut every form of sugar, even fruits. Just stopping every form of sugar helps. Because a lot of people just eat bowls and bowls of fruits. Skip a meal and just have, like, say, one big papaya or else like a watermelon. But then they don't realize that it's going to favor the overgrowth of the fungus. So they need to go off it for a while.
That is only the reason for that is all these bad bacteria love carbs.
Yes.
Love carbs. And they can differentiate whether it's healthy carbs or bad carbs. So yes, they need to go off of fruits and all that what you said, but for a limited period of time.
Yes.
And then we'll slowly reintroduce later when the balance is shifted.
Yes.
See, that is why I have the GI dietitian.
We should start there. I think I should also ask my psychologist to specialize in
GI psychologist.
That's a great idea that you shared. I have a very good takeaway today.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you, you talked about the worst breakfast. You've also talked about worst snacks. In your opinion, what are the worst snacks?
Anything that you get from a local bakery, because it's loaded with trans fats and refined flour, and there could either be sugar or there could be meat which has been grilled to another extent where the free radical is so high. Right? That is what.
Let me ask you, grilled meat, how bad is that?
The tandoori chicken and all of that. It's very tricky.
Tricky, huh?
Yeah, it is tricky. Because, see, when you go past, on the roads, you will find all these grills, right? Where there's this chicken that is stacked, right? So, and then there's a lot of fat that's dripping. And I wonder what happens by the time they pull out the last chicken from that, grill machine. Because I don't know how much of fat is dripped and settled on top, right? That is one. And the temperature, the carcinogenic substances that get, I think it's better to eat at home. You know what? I keep telling my clients, it's okay to pay a very good amount to your cook rather than ordering food from outside. Because I have a whole bunch of friends who are in the restaurant business, as well as home chefs and people who are in the catering business. And they say, whatever you order from, say, a Swiggy or also Uber Eats or whatever, don't ever think it's freshly prepared, because it could come from a cloud kitchen, and which is in, say, Delhi, Bombay or Bangalore and some other city. Food has been frozen. So when you place an order, they quickly thaw and then heat it and send it across to you, and that too in plastic containers. So just imagine the endocrine disruptors and plus the frozen food, because you need to give ample time for it to thaw, but I don't know whether that's happening.
What is the ample time?
So from the freezer, you will have to let it come to room temperature. Right. Won't that take an hour at least, or more than that? So say, for instance, like I freeze cutlets at home, fish or chicken cutlets. It takes a good 4-5 hours for it to become, really soft and to normal temperature. But then if you're just pulling out something and then putting that in a, say, microwave, and then cooking or heating it and then sending it across in a plastic dabba, what is the damage that you're doing to your gut?
Let me argue.
Okay, sure, let's do that.
It's just a controversial thing.
Sure.
I always feel like convenience is much better than what ideally it needs to be happen.
Got it.
So my argument is that, hey, if you have a microwave and you are thawing it with help of microwave, isn't it helping you to eat the frozen vegetables that you've never would have had before?
Yeah. Okay. I understand that angle, but I'm looking at what you order from outside because
Ah,
you don't know how long it's been sitting inside the freezer. And another thing is also because people end up eating. Okay. I've heard that in Bangalore or in a few other cities, the real estate people actually shared that they don't have kitchens because a lot of people, IT professionals or whomever, uh, they move from their native towns and they go to all these cities where there's plenty of job opportunities and there is no kitchen at all because in that space you can build another room. So you only have bedrooms and then there is a living area. That's it. So every food is ordered outside. How is that
oh
gut going
my
to be?
God. So every meal.
Every meal is outside. They might eat one meal in their office. How is their gut bacteria going to be? How is their probiotic diversity going to be? It's
So,
scary.
so from a person that I'm asking from a normal, let's say I'm a client to you, I went to a gym here and then
Okay.
they are asking me to eat protein and I'm a non-vegetarian. They say grilled meat is better. We can grill at home. I'm ordering grilled meat outside.
Yeah. That's
Like,
what even we recommend. Let me tell you. Yeah, it is very difficult. I understand. Yeah,
I
unless of course
see.
this person has a backup.
I
Or
see.
sometimes there are these nice kitchens. And we've also located few home chefs who are very passionate about cooking. Like
Uh,
we right now work with an IT professional who works from home, very passionate about cooking. So we recommend a lot of people in and around Saidapet area to her,
mm, mm,
5 to 10 kilometer radius. But then again, are you okay to spend that amount for
correct.
Dunzo?
Uh,
Or do you have cooking skills?
so
It
it's
is
difficult.
very
It's
difficult. It is
difficult.
difficult.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm glad that you're acknowledging the difficulty. Mm.
yeah, it
Because
is
people
a
feel like, oh, you are telling me, how difficult it is.
yeah, absolutely. You're right. See, there are budget constraints. You can't be constantly eating healthy. There are situations that you might get only one parota and say a egg curry or something like that. Then you're like super hungry, or you get only access to a biryani. What do you do? Right? There are these kind of days also. See, I'm sure you would have heard about orthorexia, where people are
Yes,
so obsessed about eating healthy for every single
correct.
meal.
People think I'm an orthorexic. No, I'm not.
Okay. How many invitations do you get for meals? People must be very shit scared to call you
No, I'll tell
home.
you, I went for a talk show in Boston. I walked into the dinner table that the host were having. All I saw was quinoa and kale and salad. Hey, what is this, Ra? I mean, it's only for you, ma'am. Only for you, sir.
Really? So even the conference menu gets
Yeah.
customized for you.
Yeah,
They're
so
going to invite Dr. Pal.
the host was answering. The host was saying, "Oh, Dr. Pal, that was a wonderful show. Now we have dinner with pizza. If you want, go and take it." So I
Okay.
don't promote. I'm not an orthorexic.
I get it.
What I promote is that mindful eating with a adequate amount.
Okay.
And that is what I promote. So, I mean, coming back to orthorexia people are very healthy, right?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, we worked with a family where the parents are into a lot of sports, trekking, and all of that. And the child actually became anorexic because the parents were so health conscious. The child who's a teenager became anorexic.
What is
She's
anorexia? Please explain to them.
again, so it's a person who thinks in their mind that they're very fat, they'll gain weight, and they over exercise. They count every calories, and there's another condition wherein you say it's bulimia, wherein they eat and then they're not anywhere around the dining table. They'll escape because they'll end up purging it. They'll stimulate vomiting, or else they'll take medicine so that they end up with diarrhea. They don't let the food stay in their system.
I saw an Indian female student in the US.
Uh-huh.
She was 16 years old.
Okay.
She came to the clinic because of loss of appetite.
Okay.
Okay, she's not eating at all. And I asked her, what's happening or something. She didn't open up that much, and I could feel like something. And Indian parents are like so conscious of their child. The love is like too much sometimes. That is maybe not good that much.
Asagaram
I was like, so I said, parents, please step out a little bit. Maybe let's just talk. They come to me 16 plus. They can come to an adult gastroenterologist. So I spoke with her. So,
Oh, 16-year-olds get to
in the
see an
US,
adult
adult
gastroenterologist.
gastroenterologist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, something is wrong. You just tell me. I'll not tell your parents what is happening. She says every time that she eats, she goes to the bathroom. She puts her finger into her throat, make sure that she creates the gag reflex, and she vomits each and everything. And when the family asks what is happening, she tells them that I have IBS. I have to use the bathroom right after eating. See, she has figured that out as well.
Oh my God.
I was like, did you know that, this is something not, she said, yes, I understand, but I'm not able to come out of the thought process that I need to look good.
Okay.
Orthorexia increases the risk of eating disorders in the family members. So that's why I always say, you don't have to go to the extremes.
Exactly. I think let's find a mid space.
Mid
So,
space.
what we tell our clients is you feel like eating biryani, please go ahead and eat. Make sure that you eat a lot more of the chicken or the mutton pieces. Okay. Instead of ordering a chicken 65 or else a fish fry, we would always say have something like a fish tikka or a chicken tikka. At least that is grilled. Okay. That's one. Next thing is pizzas. Yeah. Ask for more non veg topping, extra vegetables. So our clients get to eat everything. Okay, we are not those extremes.
Right. Only that, I think only that will work.
Yeah, and food again is there's a lot of happiness around food. What do you eat when you're happy? What's your most favorite food?
Biryani.
Biryani, right?
Biryani.
And that too, Tamil Nadu biryani.
Yeah.
Best.
It's the best.
Best. Yeah.
But I still order one. I mean, I've shown that in the reel as well. I go to a restaurant. While I'm ordering the biryani, I'll order a to-go box at the same time.
Okay.
They come to me. I consciously split into half, put it into the to-go box, and I eat very nicely the remaining biryani with the protein pieces that you said. And I will take this and then I will eat it the next day.
Okay.
I always do that. And people say that, frozen, refrigerator and all those things. I always say convenience always wins. The amount of damage that you will get by eating that whole biryani is much, much more than storing it in a refrigerator, reheating it the next day. That is a given.
Yes. You're
yes.
right. You're right.
You say that. I also understand, Ayurveda says that, there is life to the food and all those things. I understand. If you can do it, you do it. If you cannot, don't beat yourself up for storing food in the refrigerator. It is reasonably okay.
Yeah, because there are so many people who are out there with the very busy schedules and living abroad when you don't have house help and all that. It's not like India, right? Not like Asian countries. So it's very challenging. You have to drive around, drop the kids off to school,
Correct.
pick them up, take them to those soccer classes and a whole bunch of other things. And plus run the household. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
So we teach them, we do tell them it's okay. If that one meal just went out of hand, it's okay. Nothing is going to come crashing. And why don't you just freeze the fresh peas or else, prepare some chutney and stock it up. And meal prep tips is something that we give all the time,
right?
Yeah. Sometimes batch cooking also helps. We need to understand who they are, where they come from, and they need the money to run the household. There are people who have a lot of EMIs. They're supporting families back in their a native country. There are so many things. They're educating people. They have an NGO that they're running. அந்த மாதிரிலாம் நிறைய இருக்கு. So you can't be telling everything has to be freshly prepared.
Doesn't work. Tell me about this batch cooking tips that what you do.
Okay, so I do have friends in Washington DC and New Jersey and all. They said, 3 மாசத்துக்கு சாம்பார் பண்ணி உள்ள வச்சிருவேன் please. So that is also there. But again, because they are all in very busy jobs, consultants on call, those kind of
But
things.
what should one
they
do?
have 2-3 kids to manage.
What should one do for batch cooking?
Batch cooking, so the best will be at least for a week. Finish it off in a week's time. I think that makes sense. And see if you can just freeze some of the, cut the vegetables, put it in the Ziploc or else like in say glass containers and then stash it away. Make some cutlets over the weekend. I think that'll be good. Chutneys. You can prepare chutney. It'll stay good. As long as it's all in kuti dabbas so that you don't have to take the entire box and then let it thaw because the microbial contamination could be quite high. You just have to split it in smaller boxes so that you take 1 serving boxes. And a family of 4 how much they would require. So have that, so that you're pulling it out for that meal. That kind of helps. And also boiling lentils and putting it aside. You have your garbanzo beans and those kind of things. Quickly you can toss, make a sundal or else it can become a korumbu, like a puli korumbu with this chana and all of that. Or this can even be mashed and you can make a falafel and bake them or something like that. So or just make a sambar. So that goes for the entire week. Or else like make
with lots of dal, lots of vegetables.
A kootu and all of that. And then can you just split it in 2 or 3 different boxes and then stash it?
Nice.
So that Monday you pull out one and then say on Wednesday another dabba and by Friday or Saturday another batch.
Nice.
So at least you're sorted. You're getting to eat vegetables. And cutting vegetables, and say for avial, you just have this entire bunch of vegetables and then put it aside. Those things really
Beautiful,
work.
beautiful.
Frozen food is also fine.
Frozen,
Yeah.
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 I have this like burning question. I don't know the answer. How long you can store dosa batter in the refrigerator? I really don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, again, see, this varies also on the temperature. See, how quickly you put it back into the fridge matters. Sometimes you forget and then you just leave it on the kitchen counter. That also happens. Usually, batters for a week, it's good in our weather conditions. Probably in the US, it will last longer.
6 months.
Yeah, really?
If a husband doesn't cook when the wife is going to India, you should look into the refrigerator. They will say that the top dosa batter is only until next week. Da. Second week, you go to the second row run.
Yeah, but I think it's much better that this batter is kept there for months together. At least you can change the chutneys, you can have the poddies, right? All of that. You're still getting to eat this kind of a food. How long can you live on pastas and noodles and burgers and fries and right? It becomes difficult.
So the answer is based on the climate, you decide.
Yeah, and the working conditions and how much time is at your disposal, and do you have the support system? And there are a lot of people who are single these days. They don't want to get married. Right, let them be happy. Okay, so the thing is there's no one to cook, or these days
Why
what
are
I
you
tell
jealous? You're saying, oh, let them be happy.
I'm happily married. I need to go back home.
Tea, coffee. What is your take on it?
I love my filter coffee. How about you? Tea or coffee?
You know, when I was doing the time restricted feeding, I cannot move anything, including my bowel movement, without a coffee in the morning.
Oh, okay.
In the morning. But the toughest thing was for me to extend that first bite with the coffee later part of the day. It was very difficult, but I was able to do it.
Okay.
Do you know how people drink coffee in the US?
I've heard. Once I sat and calculated, and one client, 3 liters Starbucks, because I literally went and checked how many ml. And can you please tell me what actually happens in US?
So, white people, they drink black coffee.
Okay.
They don't add sugar at all most of the times. They either drink it black, or they add creamer, or they add some artificial sweetness, and then they're good. Let me tell you how an Indian person drinks. Okay, we cannot drink the black coffee what it was over there. I'm not generalizing, but usually we put the coffee, we take the milk which is separate, and then we heat it separately, and then we add the milk to the black coffee, and we add. I have seen people adding 4-5 packets of sugar. So that cup of coffee will be easily 300 calories. With the milk and the sugar. The problem comes because we are not used to that type of black coffee. We are used to our filter coffee, and we are trying to recreate that in a foreign environment. And then you will not believe that 3 to 4 times a day is easily. I've seen people, and because that is their go-to break snack in a busy working professional over there, especially in Bay Area. I've seen it a lot.
A lot of coffee.
Black coffee is at least okay. There are studies which says that 4 to 5 cups of black coffee is actually good for your fatty liver. It's actually good for your fatty liver.
Yeah.
It's good for your but not the filter coffee that we drink. Because of the extra calories.
Correct. You're absolutely right.
What is your go-to snack to replace coffee for your clients?
For my clients, no, they want something warm. Coffee is coffee. They don't want to give it up. So the thing is, if there's someone with lactose intolerance, which I'm seeing a lot, we ask them to use a lactose-free milk. Some are okay to have oat milk or almond milk. It's an acquired taste, but they're ready to make that switch. Otherwise, if they say, no, I want only almond milk and this is what I like, I'm used to it, we do then show them the quantity. So you say, okay, you have this. See, one coffee is the first thing in the morning. Next comes one around 10 or 11 o'clock when they are in the office space. Next one is around 4 or 5 o'clock. But then there are people who also drink one once they return home. That's around 7 or 8 p.m. And we even have some of the clients who take a cup of coffee after dinner. The funny thing is, there are a few people who can actually drink coffee and go to bed in the next 5-10 minutes. So these are fast metabolizers. So people like me are slow metabolizers of caffeine, because I got a nutrigenomics test done, and that clearly indicated I'm gluten lactose intolerant. I shouldn't take excess salt. Too much of nuts doesn't suit my body type, and also about the caffeine. So if I were to drink coffee, say 5 or 6 p.m.,
You're not
I would
going to
have
sleep.
insomnia or maybe, anxiety or something because I went through menopause
Ah.
during the pandemic and I had severe hot flushes. And then later I could connect it all to the coffee. Yeah. So right now, my coffee intake is 30 ml in the morning.
Morning.
That's all. I love filter coffee. So I
Mm.
just take that bit and that's it. Done for the day.
Many people have asked me, so you're in the US, you're practicing US, you don't know that much about Indian people in terms of clinical practice. Indian people only eat less protein, only high carb all the time. Is that true?
See, most of them eat a lot of carbs. That's what's happening. Yes. And the incidence of pre-diabetes or insulin resistance, it's actually 136 million. Okay, so that's what the stats say. I remember last year in January, I went for a conference to Delhi, and this gentleman from the government actually said, we are dealing with this huge, they're like ticking time bombs. So there was a request by this gentleman who said, please focus on 10 to 19-year-olds because the incidence of insulin resistance is very high. And if you look at why this has gone up, they're not walking enough, they sleep late. Okay, gadget usage has taken over, and because of the pandemic there was this entire phase where we were cooped up at home, and then that kind of spilled over, right? So they're not actually walking, moving around. Earlier, I think when we were kids, we would have gone out to buy something from a stationery shop. Right now it's just app. You can just order anything and it comes to the doorstep. Food is available 24/7. So all these factors have contributed, and plus the kind of food that you get to eat out. I clearly remember once a month or probably once in 2 months is when my father would buy something from outside. Otherwise, every meal was homemade, right? Things have shifted. But of course, my mother was a housewife. But then these days, you do see, right, women working and all of that. So a lot of dynamics has changed as things have shifted, and because of which, as you said, yes, there are people who are eating too much of carbs, less amount of protein and fiber, but there is also another segment which is very, very conscious and who are paying attention to all these aspects, and they've prioritized it, and they all even have farms, they have organic farms, and there are a bunch of people who actually receive those vegetables from, say for instance, if it's an industrialist and he has a patch of green, they cultivate it and they give it to their very close friends. I've heard these kind of stories too. There are hydroponics, they grow basil and a whole lot of things like I remember during pandemic seeing Shiva Karthikeyan and his wife, like they had all this, even Suhasini ma'am, they all had hydroponics in their house, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Is it right?
Yeah, and I think it's like the best investment that you can do. If your health is taken care of, then what more do you want, right?
Forget about the podcast. I'm a huge fan of Shiva Karthikeyan.
Dr. Pal, okay, fan, okay. I'll tell him.
I mean,
I'll
the
definitely
way that
tell.
he has progressed. Oh my God. I'm a huge fan of his, witty thing, na? Right from his dance,
Vijay TV
Vijay
days.
TV thing, na? I do stand-up comedy shows. Na? I try to learn from him.
Wow, I didn't know this.
I analyze, okay, so in which angle that he has picked from the audience response. So I used to watch the Jodi number 1, interaction with Ramya Krishnan, interaction with Bhavana, and then I actually analyzed the journey of a joke. So I have been like following him for a long time. I mean, one can transform into this level is a huge inspiration to young people like me. எப்படி எங்க சொல்றேன்?
என்ன வயசு எனக்கு இப்ப தெரியும். The nation wants to know how old are you?
I'm Sivakarthikeyan's age.
40. அப்படியா? He just turned 40.
சரி, okay, maybe 1 year older.
Oh. Okay.
But along that angle, his fitness has transformed so well. He used to be lean and everything. In your experience, when actors go from, including Dhanush, he was lean before, but now he has muscle mass has improved in whatever way that he can with his body composition. What do these people do?
Long back, I have worked with Dhanush, and I know how he would just go and dance, and one shooting where he would have danced and he would have lost that 1 kg. Kashtapattu inge we would have really helped him gain that weight, and this was during Polladavan. That time I was working for a fitness studio, and then there was a team working with him. So I used to take care of his diet, and he'll say, "You're killing me with your food." So in the sense he was struggling to eat. He didn't like anything sweet, and then all that he liked was a lot of savory dishes. Anything salty is what he would like. So he's an ectomorph. He would just struggle to gain muscle mass, but he really put in a lot of effort, and I'm sure you would have seen that in
Yeah.
Poladavan and all that. And of course, over the years, you've seen how he's transformed. When it comes to Shiva Karthikeyan, okay, I didn't work with him during Amaran. I had met him in 2012 when Vetrimaran, Dhanush and Shiva Karthikeyan used to come to the fitness studio where I was working. At that time, I had worked with him, and he was just making, an entry into the industry and all of that. And he would say, I like milkshake, I like biryani and all of that. Recently, his wife came. They've had a third child. And then after the little one was born, Aarti Shiva Karthikeyan wanted to make some lifestyle changes, and that's how she came. And then after a couple of months, she said, I would like to bring my husband. He's done with this project. So he's going to be, he wants something which is more sustainable for the next few projects that's coming up. So we had a discussion. So usually when a celeb comes, Shiva is like extremely, SK as we all call him, he's very, very disciplined. He has a chef. Okay, this guy is Sami, and he travels with him. Okay, and even at home, his wife is so hands-on, just like how Priya, she walks with you, and she's just there, right? Pretty hands-on with everything that you guys
we do
complement
together.
each other together. So Aarti, I feel, is his biggest strength.
Oh, nice.
And she takes care of a lot of things, and she knows exactly what he eats, how many grams of chicken, how many eggs he has, and all of that. She gives such detailed information, and she gives instructions to the cook, even to buy, which cut of meat to take, and she'll find the best butcher. To that detail, she's extremely good.
Wow.
All of us see SK, but I think the biggest strength is Aarti.
Isn't it? Wow.
And she's someone there are 3 elders at home. Shiva's mom is there, and then of course Aarti's parents are there, and then there are 3 children. She takes care of their education, she handles the entire household, and she's brilliant, and she's very, very caring and affectionate. That's what I noticed, because when she came for a consult, later she sent her sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and then another family member, and she seemed to be quite concerned about the health of all her loved ones, and I think that's the beauty, and I think they make a wonderful, their pair. And Shiva, again, the way he eats, he can just eat the same food repeatedly, and very, very disciplined. There's no sugar in his diet. And the meat that he eats and everything will have very minimal oil. So that chef is also doing a fabulous job. And any recipe you share, and then he'll immediately put it together and give it. So he sticks to it, and they have a gym at home, and they have a fantastic team of, trainers and all of that. So usually when a celeb goes through a massive transformation, it's a journey of, say, 1 year or 1.5 years. And they might not socialize so much during that phase, because they have to do this massive transformation. And you might be looking very thin in person, but then on screen you look a little bigger, right? Say 2.5 times bigger. That's what I get to hear from cinematographers. So it can really make you look wide. So you got to look. So if you really want to beef up, then you really need to work very, very hard, especially because his body type is like that lean musculature that he has. So a team, fantastic blood work, that everything, the medical side of it, his sister is also a doctor, right? So all these celebs have a
like
great
a good
medical
support
team, very good support system. So if someone who watches, like, say, a reel or perhaps a YouTube video, and then they shouldn't just jump in and do something that they're doing. For that reason, even Surya and Karthi, and you know how actors really put in the effort to do those massive transformation, and they have a big team to work behind the scenes. And again, it's so easy to watch a movie and say, the pada nalla illa. I mean, common man would say that, right? But then the kind of effort that they put in, I think we really need to applaud them. It's not easy, because we interact with a lot of actors and actresses too, and it's not easy being there and wanting to look good, or rather, you have to be prim and proper all the time. The pressure is immense. And especially the girls, the actresses, it's so difficult, because they could be having their periods, their menstrual cycle, and then they have to be there for the shoot, and they could be a little bloated. A dress which might be fine the previous week, it could still show up a little odd way. And
I feel bad for them.
Yeah, it's very, very challenging.
I feel bad for them. Yeah, all the reputation and the fame.
Yeah, and body shaming and a whole lot of other things they face, because they're dealing with a uterus and 2 ovaries, and there are hormone fluctuations, and there are mood swings, there's PMS, and all of that. And their shelf life is only that many years. Only very few have broken that, right? So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
so
Yes.
it's a very difficult field. We
One
shouldn't be judgmental at all, when it comes to these people.
one important point you said about the celeb lifestyle is the consistency in terms of eating the same thing.
You're right.
Right? When I tell that to my patient, he's like, "How can I eat, this on a daily basis, doctor? நாக்கு செத்து போயிரும்."
Yes, yes. How do you deal with it? What is your dialogue at that time?
ரைமிங்காக வேற ஏதாவது வரும், பட் ஐ வில் நாட் சே.
நீ செத்து போயிருவேன்னு சொல்றீங்களா?
அதுக்கு நாக்கு செத்து போனால் பரவாயில்ல. No, what I used to say is that it is difficult. It is not easy. See, you need to do some kind of compromise. It's not like, you weight loss, okay, I want to do, I will not do anything, but the weight should go down.
Exactly.
That is not the case. You have done something for the weight to put on. You have to do something to make the weight go away. So that something will be the consistent eating. So you will not believe, when I was big, I used to eat similar to SK. I used to eat the same thing repeatedly for 7 days. Not because I want to act in a movie.
I think you will soon. Very soon. I can see that.
Because I had that health scare, I was like, okay, see, what will happen, I mean, in an emotional way, what will happen if I'm not here?
Not there for your family.
That thought process, literally changed my way I looked at. I cannot eat the same thing for the second day.
You were that kind of a person.
That health scare was like, really, okay, see, if I have to do, family is everything for me, I will do everything, whatever it takes. So the dietitian said that, okay, for this week, so you're going to do this, that. I said, okay, no problem at all. No problem, I'll do it. But the only difference is that, okay, everybody had a motivation. SK had a motivation of being in the movie. Me, I had a health scare. Every person should find out what is that motivation in you, and maybe listen to podcasts like this and then say, okay, maybe we don't want to end up in a situation like me. You get motivated by this kind of podcast.
You're right.
That light bulb moment has to click somehow. I have been like, ups and downs in terms of my muscle building journey. But one time I was really good was when I was eating the same thing repeatedly.
How did you psych yourself? What is the dialogue here? Because this little voice will come up and say, hey, go eat that biryani. You can just order this pasta.
So I'm just talking about my personal experience. I don't know whether it's right or wrong.
Tell me what worked for you.
In my experience, I said that, see, I have done this so many times back and forth. I have broken the cycle multiple times and I'm not seeing the result. In my case, when I break the cycle, I go down significantly, and the time for me to take up, given my busy lifestyle, is very, very difficult. So I don't want to get into that vicious cycle again. So I am going to do this. It is going to be hard. My change in thing was around 37th day. Where, not on the consistent eating, I'm just saying that in terms of lifestyle habit and everything. 37th day, I could see a difference that, okay, so this is improving the way I feel. And I love that feel. And for that feeling, I'm willing to put this compromise.
Wow.
So that was the case in my journey.
So you documented everything. You said 37th day.
I documented.
Mind blowing.
I documented.
You documented.
I used to use this MyFitnessPal. That pal and this pal is not linked. People say, oh, he's promoting his product today. That is not my product at all.
You can start your own.
இதுக்கு மட்டும் வருவாங்க. இதே டாக்டர் பால் அமலா பாலும் எக்ஸ் கேர்ள் ஃப்ரெண்ட் ஒத்துக்க மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க.
பிரியா கூப்பிடுங்க, நான் கண்டிப்பா பேசணும்.
So in that MyFitnessPal, I used to consistently document. Because I learned from my patient experience that without documentation, there is no result.
Okay.
Because we used to document everything. Even fatty liver, a patient comes in, what do? We check the liver enzymes. We do the intervention. We check 3 months later whether the liver enzymes are coming down. That is the only way that we know that they are improving. Then I realized from medical experience is that, okay, so documentation is very important. I should document my sleep. It's painful initially. Logging out the food and everything is painful. But eventually, you will be able to create a mindset where you look at a biryani and you will know how much amount of calories.
Now when you look back, that health scare, was that a blessing?
It was a real blessing to me. was a huge blessing to me, to be honest. So we'll go to the next topic. Okay.
Sure.
Omega-3 supplements. What is your take on it? You recommend? Yes, no?
We recommend all the time. Yes, because not many people eat fish. Because in our state, right? In India, Tuesday they will not eat, say, non-veg. And then Friday, Saturday, and there'll be one Amavasya, Pradosham, and a whole lot of other religious things will come in between. And there are days that people don't end up eating fish. Chicken might be the most commonly eaten one, or maybe even mutton, but not fish that often. So omega-3 is given. And again, we ask them to look at the EPA and DHA. It should add up to at least 1,000 milligrams because the strength of EPA and DHA is important and the quality of that product or the brand. And also it has to be refrigerated.
I see. The refrigerator brand increases the bioavailability?
Bioavailability and also the fragility of the oil. It's taken care. It's in Chennai. Yeah, you're getting baked alive and you don't want to keep a bottle of omega-3 outside, right? So the fragile omega-3 fatty acids will definitely get damaged. So
Can we supplement through diet?
Through diet, yes.
Fish.
And if it is a vegetarian, of course, walnuts. Walnuts is one, and then flaxseed is another. And small amounts will also be there in chia, sabja seeds, or else even fenugreek. But the best will be to eat some nuts and flaxseed.
But let's be practical, okay? I'm against supplements.
Okay.
But I'm also practical that, it is not possible for everybody to get everything through diet. If you're not able to get through diet, okay, it's okay to take supplements. In your experience, is it practical to get the required amount of omega-3 through diet?
We recommend supplements. Trust me, because there are times when people forget. Okay, reasons that I get to hear is forgetting, or they're juggling a lot of things at home. The lady of the house might be taking care of elders at home, the children, the spouse, all of that, and plus the demands at work. Or if it's a guy, he'll say, "Oh, I forgot to carry this," and I end up traveling quite a lot. Every 3 days, I'm in a different city because I got to do this, and this is the peak of my career, and I can't afford to, stay put in one place, and all of these reasons, and these are pretty genuine. Okay, so supplements is the backup plan, but then again, it's subject to who you are, what is your job situation and what is your budget for supplements, and very good brands that we recommend. So we do a lot of homework and we look up for good supplements and we recommend those.
Dosage
Around 3 per day.
3
that will be 3,000 milligrams. Yeah, 3 grams. Yeah. Usually, if it is omega-3, which is like 1,120, or you do get such numbers, then probably 2. Yeah, but there are times when somebody has an injury, especially for sports and all, they're recovering, and return to sport is important because they might miss the chance of them getting selected, say, for a Ranji Trophy or also Champions League. And the then we do say, then go ahead and take 3 to 4. Then it's very supportive because we do give like vitamin C and a whole lot of other nutrients, other nutraceuticals, in order for them to recover faster. Yes.
Who should take omega-3 supplement?
The ones who have food cravings, the ones who are struggling for, weight loss, and also to regularize their cholesterol. So anyone with dyslipidemia, because there are times the total cholesterol, all that is fine, but the triglycerides alone will be quite high. Again, there is a connection to either the thyroid, hormones, or else it could even be, the underlying problem could even be insulin resistance. So it helps a lot when they take those omega-3. We see faster results, inflammation coming down, and the food cravings definitely tapers. It does. Yeah.
You mentioned walnuts for a source of omega-3. Available, expensive?
It is, and it also turns rancid very fast.
I see.
It gets bitter. Almonds are a better bet. It is much easier that way. Yes, so a combination. I would always ask my clients, before your filter coffee or else your tea, make sure that you have 5 almonds and 5 walnuts. Have that and then drink your warm beverage so that it doesn't affect your gastric lining. And that kind of works. So that is a habit that I put them on.
Soaked, unsoaked?
Soaked, preferably. But if you forget, it's okay. Go ahead and take.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Yeah.
And then it's a controversial topic. Because I have you, I can ask you anything.
What is that?
I mean, you will always give a candid conversation. That's what I'm saying. Bread.
Okay.
In your opinion, is bread healthy?
There are a lot of us who love bread. Love toasted bread with, say, nut butter, or it could be a sandwich. But again, so what do we recommend for our clients is sourdough bread. Because it's fermented for 3-4 days. It really breaks the gluten. And a lot of people do have non-celiac gluten sensitivity. That's something that I really wanted to ask you, because we do see psoriasis, dermatitis, eczema, and a lot of bloating. Like, I've worked in gyms, and in these fitness studios, the physiotherapist, the strength and conditioning specialist, and the dietitian will work together to help a client transform his physique. And then, in spite of counting every calorie and that client being consistent, the results won't come. They'll be like, I want the slim waist. Where's the results, right? And they paid up for that special package and all of that. And here you are scratching your head, wondering, hey, where did we go wrong and what went wrong? And that's when, long back in 2006, we figured out food sensitivities or allergies, and gluten lactose intolerance played a big role, because there was a lot of inflammation. Your intestinal villi itself was quite
inflamed on the
so
biopsies.
all of that. So basically, going back to breads, Lena, at least have pudina chutney sandwich. I know that bread is like made with maida, bad. At least get whole wheat bread. Right now, the market has a lot of seed breads,
Multigrain.
and multigrain, all of that. But if you have allergies, or if you feel bloated after eating a meal like that, I think you should start maintaining. One should maintain a food journal to understand, because when it's multigrain, you don't know which guy is
grain?
the culprit there. It's difficult. So a single grain works best. So that's when, say, a ragi bread or else just a wheat bread, you're able to find out whether this is the one which is causing the trouble.
Nice.
But the easiest thing, the go-to is right now sourdough bread.
How do we eat it?
Oh, just like the regular bread.
But isn't it hard?
No, okay. So what I got was a nice sliced bread. Yeah. So this client of mine, her son-in-law has a culinary school, and I think she learnt it from her son-in-law, and then she baked it and sent it across. Her son is a badminton player, plays for the nation, and it was amazing. I really liked the texture. It was so good. So it was nicely sliced. Yes, it is thick, but then there are places where you get sliced sourdough, either made with wheat or even the traditional rice.
Traditional. Do you add anything on the top of it when you eat it?
Okay, so I'm gluten intolerant. I hardly have.
Okay.
So whenever I go to any cafe, I have it with that's the avocado mash and all of that.
I see.
Yeah, sourdough with the avocado mash. Otherwise, if it's at home, very rarely it'll be a nut butter, almond butter.
Almond butter.
Yeah, peanuts don't suit me, so I would rather have it with
butter.
that. Yeah.
Or somebody can
bread
do
and omelette.
bread omelette. Super, la?
Mint chutney spread.
Mint chutney spread.
Yeah, a lot of vegetable slices like cucumber, tomato, and all of that, and plus this.
So bread, mint chutney, cucumber,
Tomatoes,
onions, omelette, and the bread, and that.
Yeah.
Are you having a franchise of Subway? You know the trick in Subway?
What is it?
So I go to Subway when I was in my way. I even do go now. I will ask them to scoop the bread.
Oh, okay.
So
that's where you cut the carbs.
The sourdough bread, you can ask them to scoop the bread. So they will scoop the bread, and it will create a hollow inside the thick.
So you can stuff more.
You can stuff more.
Are you vegetarian or non-vegetarian?
I'm palatarian.
What's that now?
Palatarian is 80% veg.
Okay.
So how does that work? Is 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, 21 meals a week. You do 80% veg. 60. I do eat everything. Crab, whatever you imagine. Running, flying, jumping.
Okay.
But in my mind, I have a calculation.
Okay.
When I eat a non-veg source, I know that doesn't have any fiber at all. So I consciously increase the amount of fiber at least 1.5 times more on that particular day.
Okay.
So I aim for 25 grams, I get around like 20 grams per day. When I eat fiber, I get 40 or 35 consciously. I have been where I, at 7 p.m. when I'm finishing up the dinner, you will see how much amount of guavas I'm taking.
Is that your favorite fruit?
That's my favorite fruit. That's my favorite fruit. Or guavas or any kind of fruit. I will, and I also sometimes take psyllium husk.
Okay.
To improve, especially when I'm eating non-veg, I increase my fiber supplement.
Excellent.
Significantly. I got into a controversy by saying that, red meat is bad.
Oh, you did. Why? There were haters?
Significantly. They said you were anti-Indian. Because I said, no, decrease your beef intake. And then...
Were these haters from Kerala? Because a lot of people eat beef.
I said parota and beef is a recipe for disaster.
You're right.
I meant actually the higher amounts.
Ah.
Right? Parota doesn't have any fiber. Beef doesn't have any fiber. In generally, the daily intake fiber is much low. And what do you expect the gut bacteria to do? The gut bacteria will bow and then say, please give more. So it didn't go well. But the concept is that multiple research have shown that, red meat in a higher quantity, so more than 500 grams per week. Okay, you tell me.
The connection to colorectal cancer?
Colorectal cancer, precancerous colon polyps, other diseases. There's significant amount of evidence. The concept is that, okay, so if you have fiber, maybe the disease is attenuated. The outcome is attenuated, decreased. And you tell me 500 grams is half a kilo per week. If somebody eats lamb and beef, which is their mutton and beef and pork, which is their favorite, at least in the US, 500 grams is like a tipser. Who eats 500? So I was just promoting that, okay, decrease your amount and increase your fiber.
Yes.
That's what I was discussing. Anyways, will rice help you lose or gain weight?
It'll help in losing weight. Also.
How come?
Okay. So it's all about the quantity. Okay. There are so many of our clients who love eating rice. Tamil Nadu. Okay, you try telling a Bengali or else any South Indian not to eat rice, that's it. That'll be the last. You get to see your client's face, right? And trust me, I love rice. So I understand the pain when they say I need the rice. So rice is definitely there. The ratio is, if you eat 1 cup rice, make sure that you have 2 or 3 cups of vegetables on your plate. So which means 1 poriyal, 1 kotu, or else 1 tair pachadi, which is a raita, and then 1 sabzi. And the gravy that you pour on the rice, make sure that is also loaded with vegetable. So they end up getting 3 varieties of vegetables there. Done. Or there could be a fish curry or a chicken curry. I would encourage them to eat more of the pieces. Okay? Or there could be like a mutton chukka or also shredded chicken with a lot of vegetables added to it, or maybe a palak chicken or a methi chicken along with this rice, and then the vegetables. So every meal will have 2 cups vegetables and then 1 portion of either egg, or else it can even be like a dal or a parpusli or some non-veg. So that way you still get to enjoy rice. I need to tell you about this boy. See, I used to work for a fitness studio called Maverick. This was way back in 2007. And at that time, there was this boy who came. He was 170 centimeters and his weight was 142 kgs. When he came for a consultation, in my mind, I was like, will I be able to help this boy? Okay, he was around 25, 26. But then I didn't show it. But I told him one thing. See, if you are consistent, I'm sure you can crack it. Okay, so he was holding on to that tight. Rain or shine, he'll come to the gym. And when I asked his favorites, he said he loves idli, dosa, biryani, tandoori chicken. Okay, so I said, fine, idlis, you please eat it for your breakfast. Have a pudina kothmali chutney, that is mint coriander chutney, or also coconut chutney, to which you add some mint coriander also. So you get 1 green color coconut chutney. And then lunch, I said, you love rice, so eat 1 cup. We always give him, we give measuring cups. So the quantity was specified, and the vegetables also, and a big glass of buttermilk and rasam. Because when you drink a large volume of buttermilk, that's probiotic, and then the liquid also helps to keep you full. And then you include some salad, say cucumbers, or something simple like, just slice up carrot and tomatoes and cucumbers and eat it up. Even that works. Simple. And then evening snack was guava, pomegranate. That's one thing that I would always recommend. These 2 fruits is something that I would push it for most clients. And dinner was dosa. Dosa with either a non-veg or a veg gravy. He did this for 8 months. His weight came down to 98 kgs. From 142 to 98. Yeah. So something very consistent. And over the weekend, say Sunday, I said, lunch, please make sure that you go to a restaurant and eat a tandoori platter. Or else eat biryani, but make sure that you are filling up yourself with a lot of meat pieces. He did that diligently. He also worked out, did strength training and all that. He shaped up beautifully.
Nice.
So I'll never forget this client. And the power of simplicity. You needn't make it so scary and overwhelm your client. You can still eat rice and lose weight.
Correct.
Just understand, are you a 5 feet person or else a 6 feet? And then how many calories do you burn? And are you consistent with your efforts? You will still be able to see the results.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Super. Thank you so much for your wonderful insights. It was awesome. If you want to let my audience know one mistake that they should not do in the weight loss journey or a healthy journey, what will that be? And we'll wrap it up.
Okay, so absolute pleasure being here. I loved it. I've laughed so much today. Lot of happy hormones. Absolute fun. See, one thing that I would say is, don't eat your dinner too late.
Huh.
Try to finish it as early as possible. And one more thing is not drinking adequate water. Hydration is such a huge problem. I've met clients who drink just 1 glass of water, which means 200 ml or max 250 ml. And they've been surviving on that for like several years, right? So hydration makes a big difference because you tend to perceive thirst as hunger.
Yeah.
And then the quantity of food really goes up. And then you wonder why you're getting those headaches, why is the fatigue so strong, and all of that. So I think the simplest thing would be to just focus on the basics, and you're pretty sorted.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think we should create a common collab channel called Shining Pal. Because this is what I've exactly told in the last few years in my channel.
Okay, collab.
Repeatedly, don't eat late at night. Water intake and all those things. Yeah, super.
And it works. Yeah.
It works beautifully. It works beautifully. When you keep on drinking only 200 ml, 250 ml, your nephrons gets adapted to it.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Because your body needs something, you're not providing it. So the kidneys will adapt to, okay, this is how much he is going to drink.
Okay.
Okay, this is the urine output it's going to be. So the effect will be on the hormones which needs water. So that is where the quality of the hormones will go down. And then I always say, minimum 2 to 2.5 liters of water per day.
Yeah.
Starting as soon as you wake up, and then every 1 hour would be the right way to drink if you can.
And also this vasopressin, the connection of, I think when people feel they're bloated, they're not drinking adequate water because your kidney is also trying to
save water.
Hold on to it, save water,
correct,
right?
correct,
Yeah, and the moment they
exactly.
start optimal hydration, then the bloating goes away.
Right,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
I think this podcast will go for 3 hours.
You come to my podcast whenever you're free. Okay, we will have a Tamil Dana.
Tamilda, beautiful, wonderful.
Huh?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Sween. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
So that was a wonderful episode. I learned a lot. I'm sure you would have learned as well. I really want you to absorb what you learned. Maybe write it down in a short notes or something on your phone, and then see whether you can implement that in your daily lifestyle rather than just listening to the podcast and then moving on to the next one. I just don't want you to just consume the information. I want you to make that information practically executable in your daily lifestyle. So remember, one belly at a time. It is absolutely important. Stay happy, stay gutsy. May God bless you.